Hello, this is Rachel Griffith.
And this is Manusvini Tedakella.
We're here today to speak to you about the worst presentation program to exist.
Prezi. Prezis are the literal worst thing to work with.
So what is a Prezi?
Good question. Let's find out.
According to Wikipedia, Prezi is a visual storytelling software alternative to traditional slide-based presentation formats. Prezi presentations feature a map-like overview that lets users pan between topics, zoom in on details, and pull back to reveal context.
While this seems very useful, the disadvantages outweigh any advantages.
A couple of those disadvantages are Prezi is very distracting, hard to use, and not useful for most presentations.
We will be discussing more about these disadvantages after this break.
And we're back.
The first disadvantage to Prezi is that it is very distracting.
When presenting a presentation, you want the focus to be on the information and not how it is presented.
The focus of Prezi is the presentation of information and not the information itself.
While making a Prezi, you have to spend so much time arranging the Prezi instead of putting in your information.
Now on to the next disadvantage.
The second disadvantage to Prezi is that it is difficult to use.
There are so many features and you don't need most of them.
75% of the time making a Prezi is the actual formatting and 25% is inserting the information.
Also, the zooming feature makes people so dizzy.
Who wants to be dizzy while watching a presentation?
Absolutely no one.
And what about the rotating and spinning feature?
That is the actual worst.
Exactly.
Sometimes you can't even read the text because it's moving too quickly.
I know, it's nauseating. Now on to the final disadvantage.
The last and final disadvantage is that it isn't useful for most presentations.
Why is that, Manusvini?
It isn't useful because it is very difficult to fit big chunks of text on a Prezi slide.
Sharing important information is difficult when you can't include all the information on one slide.
Also, Prezi is very informal. You would not want to use Prezi for an important business meeting.
Or an important English presentation.
Very true, Rachel.
On that note, our producers say that it's time for a phone break.
You're texting, you're tweeting, now's your time to text and tweet. Okay, it's been 2 full minutes. At this time, if I see you texting or tweeting or snapping, I will take your phone. Starting in 3, 2, 1.
Now that we have all gotten our phone fixed for the day, it's time to look at the other side of the argument.
I don't even understand how someone could tolerate Prezi.
That's why we're looking at their arguments. The first is that it's flexible.
Flexible? What is that supposed to mean?
It means that it has the capability to do a lot more than some of the other PowerPoint presentation softwares that are available.
But that flexibility is what makes Prezi so difficult to use. It is so difficult to find and use the features that give Prezi that flexibility.
I know, but that's just an argument some people make.
Is that the only argument?
No. Some people like Prezi because it is web-based.
So is Google Slides, and Google Slides is way easier to use.
I agree with you, Rachel. I'm just saying this because that's what people say. However, I think we should cut them some slack because it is used by over 85 million users.
But I'm sure more people use Google Slides and Microsoft PowerPoint.
In a survey we took of Jackson students, none of them would willingly use Prezi again. To put in terms of stats, 99% of students chose Microsoft PowerPoint or Google Slides over Prezi.
Do you have any more stupid arguments to bring up?
Thankfully, no.
I'm glad, because Prezi is horrible to use, and there are other better web-based presentation sites, such as Google Slides and Keynote, so we don't need to use Prezi for that reason.
Agreed. Now it's time for the weather report.
Thank you, Tim. Well, not a lot of surprises this week. We're going to have some highs in the mid to upper 70s, and things are going to cool down to about 50 degrees or so each night. So not quite swimming season just yet, but we're getting there. Let's take a look at the nation. We've been tracking a small cold front that's been moving in from the northwest here, and so? Okay, it sounds as though the cold front has expanded in size, and you can see that here. Okay, and it looks like it's continuing to grow. Look at that. Okay, if we jump back to our 5-day forecast, we're going to see a few changes. Expect highs in the upper 40s with lows down to 20 degrees or so each night. Might want to break out the heavy blankets again this week. If we come back to, wow, okay, it looks like the cold front has really gained some momentum here, and it appears appears that a storm has started to gather as well, but fortunately it doesn't look too serious. Okay, it's actually becoming a little serious. It seems that hail is starting to fall, about 1 millimeter in diameter. Okay, it seems our initial estimate was a little off. They're more the size of basketballs. Pieces of ice the size of basketballs are falling from the sky, so that is pretty serious. Everyone should probably be taking refuge under concrete structures just as fast as humanly possible. Let's see how this will affect the 5-day forecast. Highs will now be in the upper 10s with lows in the negative 20s, and if you look on Tuesday, there's a slight chance of death.
That was a quality weather report.
Stop trying to be like Mr. Mitchell, Rachel. Bad puns are his thing, not yours.
Now it is time to finish this argument.
Yes, we need to help the believers in Prezi become non-believers.
Prezi takes away from the actual information you're trying to share.
And it's so difficult to figure out.
Don't forget that it is very informal, so you can't use it for most presentations you will give.
At the end of the day, no one wants to work on a presentation for 7 eternities because of the fact that the formatting is too hard to understand.
We need to take a stand against Prezi. Take a pledge to stop using Prezi today.
If everyone quits using Prezi, no one will ever have to see Prezi again.
Unless, for some reason, your English teacher forces you to use a Prezi.
Or a different teacher.
Yeah, or a different teacher.
Well, that is all for today's news report.
Tune in next week for a news report on why you shouldn't put bears in the ceiling of classrooms.
Tana, Kella, and Griffith signing off.